Daf Yomi, Tractate Chullin, page 43b. Top of the page, the Sofer Derusa. The Gemara responds. The halacha is necessary for a case in which it was uncertain whether an animal was clawed by a predator. If the animal was in fact clawed, the gullet would have become red. Since the outer lining is always red, the gullet must be checked on the inside to ascertain whether it is still white. Hahi Sofer Derusa, le'asai nekami derabba. Havi kobadek le rabba deveshe mi'avarai. Amar Abaye v'hamar hu de'amar veshetin lo b'dikam. Ela b'mivnim ibche rabba ubadke. Yishtakach ale tere kurte dema v'tarpa. Rabba nami achodade rabbae hu dibae. The Gemara recounts the case of a certain animal concerning which it was uncertain whether it was clawed by a predator, which came before Rabbah. Rabbah was checking its gullet from the outside. Abaye said to him, "But isn't it you, Master, who says the gullet may be inspected only from the inside?" Rabbah turned over the gullet and checked it from the inside, and found on it 2 drops of blood, and deemed it a treifa due to clawing. The Gemara notes, and Rabbah as well desired only to sharpen Abaye by inducing him to ask. He did not forget his own statement. I was only testing you. Sometimes they do it for a joke. If you forget something and you correct him, like, I was just testing you. Okay. But I guess he was really testing him here. Okay. Amarula yashev lo kotz beveshet en choshishin shem mahivri. Ula says, if a thorn sat in the animal's gullet but did not perforate the outer lining, all these horrible images of pain to animals. Let's see here. Okay, one need not be concerned that perhaps it perforated the outer lining beforehand, and the perforation healed and a scab formed over it, in which case the animal would be a treifa, as stated above. Rather, one assumes that the thorn never perforated the outer lining and the animal is kosher. The siman is dras chatichot besakin tme'ah siman. The Gemara provides a mnemonic for the following questions with regard to Ula's statement: clawed, pieces, with a knife, ritually impure. Uli Ula ma'ishna misafik derusa kasavar Ula in choshishin misafik derusa. The Gemara asks, but according to Ula, given that this is a case of uncertainty, in what way is it different from a case of uncertainty as to whether the animal was clawed, where the animal must be checked and cannot be presumed kosher? The Gemara responds, Ula holds that one need not be concerned with regard to an uncertainty as to whether the animal was clawed. Umayishno mishtei chatichois. Achal shel chele v'achal shel shuman hosam itchazak isura. The Gemara asks, in what way is this case different from a case where there were 2 pieces of fat before a person, one of forbidden fat and one of permitted fat, and a person ate one piece but does not know which one, where the halacha is that one must bring a provisional guilt offering due to the possibility that he consumed forbidden fat. Evidently, one may not presume that an item is permitted in a case of uncertainty. The Gemara responds, there one finds a presumption of prohibition. Since one of the pieces is certainly prohibited, here with regard to the thorn, there is no presumption of prohibition. The Gemara asks, and in what way is the case of the thorn different from the case of one who slaughters with a knife that was previously checked for flaws, but was then found to be notched after the slaughter? In that case, it is uncertain whether the notch existed at the time of slaughter, yet the animal was prohibited. The Gemara responds, there a deficiency was born inside the knife. Accordingly, one must be concerned that it was notched beforehand as well. By contrast, the wall of the gullet is currently intact, and one may therefore presume that it was intact beforehand as well. Ma'ishnam misafek tuma pirshus hayochid isveiko tamei v'letamech idam yelesafek tuma pirshus harabim disveiko to elosmin chazogim yelam misoitam. The Gemara asks, and in what way is this case different from an uncertainty with regard to ritual purity in a private domain, whose uncertainty is presumed impure? The Gemara responds, but according to your reasoning, let us compare it instead to uncertainty with regard to impurity in a public domain, whose uncertainty is presumed pure. Rather, there, with regard to the presumption of impurity in a private domain and purity in a public domain, the sages learn this halakha through tradition from the halakha of a woman suspected by her husband of having been unfaithful. Therefore, one cannot extend it to other cases. Yosef Chayshino Namalahu Yorokana Lo Titzitu Le Yashavit Mar Avonim Sedlo Intrich Le Leula. The Gemara relates that one of the sages was sitting before Kahana, and he was sitting and saying, it was stated that one need not be concerned that the thorn perforated the linings of the gullet, only if it was found loose inside the gullet. But if it sat embedded in the gullet wall, we must be concerned that the outer lining was perforated and the latter healed, rendering the animal a treifa. Rav Kahana said to the other sages, do not listen to him. Rather, it was stated that one need not be concerned about the possible perforation if the thorn sat embedded in the gullet wall. But in a case where it was simply found there loose, it was not necessary for Ula to say that the animal is kosher, since all the animals that live outside eat thorns, and it is reasonable to expect to find them in the gullet without presuming injury. Eating thorns, wow, that's a tough esophagus or gullet, whatever. Itmar turbats aveshet. Rav Amar b'mashu Shmuel Amaverubo. Rav Amar b'mashu makom shechitahu Shmuel Amaverubo lav makom shechitahu. The Mishnah teaches that if the gullet was perforated, the animal is a treifa. It was stated in a case where the entrance, the turbats, of the gullet from the pharynx was perforated. Rav says the animal is a treifa if any part of the gullet was perforated, and Shmuel says it is a treifa only if its majority was perforated. Rav says if any part was perforated, because he holds that the entrance of the gullet is a location fit for slather and therefore considered part of the gullet. And Shmuel says if its majority was perforated, because he holds that it is not a location fit for slaughter and it is not considered part of the gullet. Hainiu turbat baveshet. Hainiu turbat baveshet. Amar Mari bar Marukva. Amar Shmuel kol shechoticho umarchiv ze hu turbat baveshet. Choticho v'yomer b'mkomo ze veshet atzmo. Amar lehu Rav Papi mar la Amar Hachimi umanu Rav Bivi bar Bai. Elo kol shechoticho v'yomer b'mkomo ze turbat baveshet. Elo ez veshet atzmo kol shechoticho v'chavetz. Yona Amar Zera. Yona Amar Zera. Mavlata v'chama Amar Ravavya Parad b'nisarta B'yadid b'chitasa. The Gemara clarifies which area is the entrance of the gullet. Marukva said that Shmuel said all of the area that widens outward when cut along its width, this is the entrance of the gullet. All the area that remains in place when cut, this is the gullet itself. Rav Papi said to them, Master did not say so. And who is that Master? It is Rav Bivi bar Abaye. Rather, he said that all of the area that remains in place when cut, this is the entrance of the gullet. But which area, then, is the gullet itself? It is all of the area that constricts when cut and closes inward. The sage Yonah says, in the name of Rabbi Zera, the entrance of the gullet is only the area of the throat immediately bordering the gullet, and how much of the throat qualifies as the entrance of the gullet. Rav Avia says less than the length of a barley kernel, and more than the length of a wheat kernel. Hahu toiga Rav ukba yaschil Eshchita betuba saveshet Ukemar heveshet Amri Amarabe Remina le chumri demar Draf chumri dishmuel V'tarfeina le. The Gemara relates an incident involving a certain bull that belonged to the sons of Marukva, where its slaughter began with a small incision in the entrance of the gullet and included in its majority in the gullet. Rava said, I impose upon it the stringencies of Rav and the stringencies of Shmuel and deem it a treifa. Chumar Rav, Yamarav Imashu, V'Amarav Makom Shchitu, Kishmuel Yamar Lav Makom Shchituhu, Yishmuel Amar Berubo, Kidarav Yamar Bimashu. I impose the stringency of Rav. As Rav said, the animal is a treifa if any part of the entrance of the gullet was perforated before slaughter. Such is the case here, since the incision began in the entrance of the gullet. Perhaps one will ask, but doesn't Rav say that the entrance of the gullet is the location fit for slaughter? In which case, the initial incision should be considered the beginning of the act of slaughter. To this I will respond, I hold in accordance with the opinion of Shmuel, who says that it is not a location fit for slaughter. If one says, if I hold an opinion according to the opinion of Shmuel, doesn't he say it is a treifa only if it was perforated in its majority? Since I respond, I hold according to the opinion of Rav, who says if any part was perforated. Consequently, I deem the animal a treifa. Yigal gamil semitain coming the Rabbi Abba. Amanuhu toiram. Ben Rav ben Ishmael shari zilu amnu lebarei the Rabbi Yosef barchama tishalim de metar. The Gemara relates that the matter circulated and it came before Rabbi Abba, who said to his students, this bull is permitted for consumption, both according to Rav, who holds that the entrance of the gullet is a location for fit for slaughter, and according to Shmuel, who holds that it is not a treifa unless it is perforated in its majority. Therefore, go tell the son of Rav Yosef, Barchama, being Rava, that he is to pay the value of the bull to its owner, since he improperly deemed it a treifa. Oh, burn. Wow. Amar mar bereid ravina mosivna tiyov teklape sanae derove leoilam hen chasad kedivre besilel beras lasos kedivre beshamai oise kedivre besilel oise mekulel beshamai mekulel besilel rasha. Mar, son of Ravina, said, I offer a conclusive refutation to the enemies of Rava, meaning I offer a conclusive refutation to the enemies of Rava, meaning Rava, from a brisa. The halacha is always in accordance with the statement of Beis Hillel, but one who wishes to act in accordance with the statement of Beis Shammai may do so, and one who wishes to act in accordance with the statement of Beis Hillel may do so. But if one wishes to adopt both the leniencies of Beis Shammai and also the leniencies of Beis Hillel, he is a wicked person. Okay, this is the opposite though. He adapted the stringencies. Okay, maybe that's what's coming. Maybe that's the next thing. But anyways, that's the Amud for today.